talking about. Please welcome Casey Greiler.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to sit down here so it doesn't really feel like I'm addressing the nation on a podium. Oh, clicker. Good morning-ish, guys. Thanks for being here. Sit back, relax. We're about to get real familiar, talk about underwear for the next 20 minutes. My name is Casey. I run our consumer insights practice at MeUndies. And for those of you who don't spend all of your time listening to podcast advertisements, MeUndies is a LA-based brand, and our mission is to make you feel as comfortable as possible in your underwear and out of it. We started 10 years ago. Our first product we launched was the classic boxer brief. We also launched our first ever online underwear subscription. And over the last 10 years, we've expanded through 5 product lines, 20 silhouettes, hundreds of prints, and a partridge in a pear tree. So today I'm really excited to talk to you all about those product expansions. What does that process look like? And how do we think about the role of research to identify those expansions and bring them to life? All right, this is our life cycle. Highly detailed, I know. Stay with me. So Steve mentioned it, but newness is really at the heart of our business. We launch 50 plus products a year, and that can be everything from new categories like swim. That includes one-off products like our jumpsuit, new underwear silhouettes, string bikini. Yes, I'm name dropping. But that doesn't even include our prints. And every year we launch about 100 different prints and colors. That is a lot, but given the attention span of our customers and the fact that we really need to support our subscription, having that level and this level of newness allows us to keep customers engaged in something that is not the latest TikTok dance trend. So it's really important to us. Looking at each of these phases, so we start with exploration. That's the time when we are identifying products, sizing opportunities, and really prioritizing what we're going to develop next. Concepting is high-level product design, understanding how the product's going to be worn, purchased, things like that. We bring those insights into development, where we start sketching, and the product comes to life. We also do launch prep, like name testing, creative testing, market channel fit analysis, things like that. We move into launch, which is where we launch the product, and also measure its success, which is a critical element for us before we move full circle back into exploration and try to identify opportunities for clarity, improvement, and then also expansion. All right, before you ask, no, this is not a different type of battleship game. These icons represent different types of research methodologies that our team uses to inform both strategic and tactical product decisions. I know this looks like a lot, so the caveat I would give is this process really works for us. I know it's robust. But all companies, consumers are different. So really the hope is that you use this as a guide. You find it helpful to understand what might be part of your toolkit, what research methods you can use to solve different types of problems at different types of times, and really infuse voice of the customer into everything that you do. Great. Okay, so first step, exploration. So we start off by identifying, sizing, and prioritizing our products. All of product creation starts with this nugget of insight. Typically that is qualitative for us, but it can come from a variety of sources. It might come from write-in survey responses where people ask explicitly for a different type of product. It could come from an unmet need that we identify as part of our annual attitudes and usage studies. It can also come from directly within the company, within teams, hypotheses that we develop. But the most important part of this is we cannot develop and invest in products based on one voice, and we don't act on customer feedback alone. We really need to make sure that we're taking a well-rounded and strategic approach to everything we develop. So we add on strategic business lenses on top of that feedback, and that's where the quant research comes into play. So for us, we have 3 business lenses that we typically use. The first one is the size. So just how many people are interested in a particular idea or a particular product. For this, we use a max diff analysis that allows us to understand the magnitude of interest in individual products. It also allows us to understand like the extreme nature, things that people love and things that people hate. And then we move to opportunity type. So that's our second filter. That is, what types of people does this product appeal to? So is it new customers? Is it prospective customers? Are there any gender skews that we need to be thoughtful about? Similar with age skews. And then we also have the ability to look at products by valuable customer cohort. So within the analysis that we do, we can actually match up data from our database, our customer data from our database, and bring it into the survey responses. So when we're looking at different product types, we can use our database to understand which of these products appeal most to high LTV, high LTO customers. The last lens that we use is brand and business. So that is everything from like brand fit and credibility. Does it feel like a natural extension? Is it something that customers are going to understand the story of why we're developing it? And then how operationally feasible is it? Like, do we have the capabilities to actually create a product like this successfully and make money from it? Had to mention money at some point. So as we go through, I thought it would be helpful. I want to use one of our latest product launches as an example as we go through and talk about how we use this process in developing that product. So I'm going to use Breathe as an example. Breathe is our line of active and performance, or I would say everyday active underwear. So in the case of Breathe, our nuggets of insight came from write-in responses that went to our Cheek Squad, who is also known as our customer support team. Super cute. They're wonderful. So we had a few customers writing in saying things like, God, love your classic modal underwear, it's super soft, but it shows under the activewear, like under my active clothing, and it isn't exactly moisture wicking. We'll just leave it at that, just for everyone's sake. So with that, the idea of performance and active underwear was born. So we took the idea of that active and performance underwear, brought it into our max diff analysis with a host of other products, tested it. 3 products from that research came to the top: lingerie, bedding, and active underwear. Then we applied our brand and business lenses. Lingerie we ended up moving away from because it was really niche. It skewed heavily with women, and we were really looking for a product line that had a lot of broad appeal. There were also some pretty extreme opinions. So some people felt like lingerie was very on brand for us. Some people felt like it didn't mesh with like the playful nature of the brand. So we left that one behind. Bedding was one that people were incredibly excited about. But we hit our operational filter. So we sell premium underwear. It's around $20 a pair. Trust me, it's worth it. But if we're going to make bedding, bedding is a little bit larger than the size of underwear. So in order to extrapolate out and use the same fabric that people know and love and would expect if we did bedding, the price point would either be way outside what customers would reasonably pay, or we would make absolutely no margin on it. So unfortunately, that one was also left on the cutting room floor. And then we landed on active performance underwear. So that had high enough volume of people who were interested, limited extremes of opinions, and also sat really nicely in this space of brand and business and capability, credibility in the sphere of underwear, which we've been building for the last 10 years. So after we prioritize the idea, we move into concepting. So this is when we start to bring the idea to life, and we use qual and quant research to really flesh it out. So the qual research we do is very focus group driven. Usually we use a digital focus group to first understand the surrounding behaviors of a product. How are people using it? What are their expectations? We create a range of those inputs. And then to make sure that we're honing in, we use quant to validate them. So quant research helps us say, well, here are all the possible benefits of a particular product, but which ones are the most important? Which ones are the most unique to us? So that's a critical piece for us to really understand what the product's gonna look like, what the design will be, what features are critical, and even price point, right? If we're developing something, again, using the example of Breathe, we will wait to finalize pricing later on, but we need to know a price range so we know what types of fabrics and features we can afford as a business, and really hone it on our options. So for Breathe, we also in qual research just dug into everything related to active underwear, right? So how are people buying it? How often are they wearing it? What frustrations do they have? What features are critical? What brands are they shopping today? Those really all the things that we started to dig into. And then within quant research, we narrowed those down. What 2 benefits or 3 benefits are must-haves? Where are we unique? What does that pricing look like for us? What types of customers are most interested in a product like this? So after we move from concepting, which is more high level, we go into development. So this is sketches, and this is also the creation of the physical product. This is also the point where we get much more targeted and specific with our research. We're less broad and exploring, using research to explore, and we're really using it to answer very specific problems. So the first piece of qualitative research we use in this phase is survey work to understand things like variations. If we're choosing between items, which design do people like best? If we're choosing between features, what does that mean? And we'll also show people specific products and designs. So they can get a feel for what the product might look like. We then go into things like wear testing. So internal wear testing we do with our employees to catch any sort of adjustments that need to be made before the product is finalized. We then do research related to naming and also creative. So in the case of Breathe, we used the first round of quantitative research to help identify things like a hidden pocket feature in the underwear that was really new in the space. It identified silhouettes to prioritize, our prints, and then even helped us inform naming. And then going into creative, it confirmed the importance that we had set on body diversity in our advertising. And then testimonials from our focus groups and wear testing also ended up on the website as ways to describe product benefits. Launch. So the product's launch, it might seem that at this point research is done. The chick has left the nest, your job is over. This is a really critical phase for us, and it's where we move from changing the product to evaluating its success. This is an area, so when we're evaluating success, we do a few different things. We have a VIP panel of customers who we give product to. That's our way of understanding opportunities for additional clarity, what things don't make a ton of sense. It also helps us get reviews on the site at a period of time that's critical. And then we have an always-on brand tracker survey that helps us monitor KPIs like brand awareness, product awareness, ad recall, brand perceptions, things like that. In Breathe, this was the phase that was our biggest challenge. We hadn't yet launched the VIP panel, and because of the level of newness with the product, we made an early decision that the launch would be more of a slow burn versus to go all out with a lot of brand campaigns, PR, things like that. So as a result, even though the line brought in a constant stream of revenue, there weren't any of these peaks that we could look at and really understand of everything that we were doing, what was driving the greatest impact, what was working best. So I would say this was our biggest learning in this process, and we've, since looked at that, reflected on it, and this year took a really hard additional commitment when it came to a new approach. And then finally, come full circle, the last piece is going back to the exploration phase. This is where we are able to do ongoing and really robust post-purchase research and follow customer interactions and perceptions of our products over time. So we do this through ongoing CSAT surveys. We also do large postmortems on everything from how the creative worked to how people felt about the designs. It's purchaser and it's non-purchaser, so we also understand barriers to the people who didn't purchase and awareness. So with Breathe, this is what we did. We were able to understand that when we launched the product, using our sentiment and text analysis tool, there was an opportunity around band size. We saw some hotspot of activity around people feeling like the band was really tight. So our team is now in development, both from a communication standpoint and a product standpoint, helping to address that, helping to explain the trade-off of product benefits, right? If you want things to stay put and you want thinness, sometimes we have to make trade-offs on things like stretch. And we're also looking into product development improvements. We also just finished our postmortem on, like I mentioned, creative prints and everything like that. So you'll start to see new developments come out. So keep an eye on that. And then last thing I'll say before we wrap, I want to share just a few quick hit learnings from this process. In true ex-consultant fashion, I'll keep it to the rule of threes. The first piece is size and prioritize the opportunity upfront. Use your strategic and tactical business and brand filters, because that's the only way you're truly going to be able to harness the power of the customer in a way that makes sense and feels authentic for you as a company. The second one is mix it up. You'll see here that we use a mix of qual and quant. We do research with new customers, prospective customers. We look internally and externally. There's a lot of tools that you have, a lot of options, so use them all, keep them open. And the last thing is not to be afraid of learning that you could have done something better. Learning something later is always better than never, and in the reality, in the cycle of product and research, the learning really never ends. So, thank you.
Casey, that's great. Also, kind of great but daunting. I'm not sure that everybody is up to that level of research, but I think everybody can extrapolate things from this. We have time for a couple of questions. If any of you have a question of Casey. Oh. I'm sorry, is there a hand up that I'm not seeing? Okay. Hang on.
Thank you very much. That was awesome and relatable to what I do. VIP panel, what does that look like? So when you actually give out the underwear, how do you then start the engagement and stay engaged with that panel?
Great question. So a few things. So the panel is we identified the panel through a survey. So we used our database to identify people who had already written the most reviews. So people who were most likely to really be engaging and early adopters of the products. We then sent them a survey, invited them to this panel. And the engagement is largely through Cheek Squad communication. They reach out to team members. There's around 150 to 200 people on the panel at any time. And then we give them promo codes to be able to go onto the site, get the products for free. And then we stay in touch with them again through the Cheek Squad and also send them a survey and then track their feedback via reviews.
Casey, I'm sorry we have to move on, but there's
No
loads of
worries.
time for people to engage with you over the next few days. Casey Graylick,
Yes.
thank you so much. That was great.